Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Tiny Brains podcast. I'm Kevin Joyce, the CEO and founder of Tiny Brains, and with me I have Peter Graham, Brigadier of Brains. Say hello, Brains, Peter, Brains, Brigadier Brains.
Buongiorno.
So, as always, this week we'll be going through the hottest news stories from the previous week in XR. But before we jump in, I want to talk about what's happening this week. It's GDC week. The Game Developers Conference is taking place at the Moscone Center in San Francisco, and as you're watching this, I will be flying my way over to San Francisco for this event. Not literally, I don't have wings, but I'll probably be on a plane at this point. So, if you're in town and you want to meet up and have a coffee and talk about XR or whatever else, I'm assuming, Pete, you'll be putting links to my LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, email, website, phone number,
Do you
pager,
have social
fax
media?
machine.
Okay.
Reach out any way you like and tell me why I should buy you a coffee. Anyway, diving in, we're going to start with some Pico news. Pico has been grabbing some headlines over the last, 6 months or so, and now they have more.
Well, it's not really Pico making any announcements, but yes, there has been a new trademark registered for a Pico 4S. So make of that what you will, whether it's going to be a slimmed down Pico 4 or a slightly revised edition. Nobody knows just yet. There is literally just a trademark. And another leak has appeared about a new controller as well. So it's a leak controller design, kind of similar to the Quest 3 in terms of it gets rid of the tracking ring and those IR sensors. So it's a sleeker design.
Now, this is coming off the back of Pico suggesting that they were going to exit the consumer market, or at least slim down their efforts there and concentrate more on enterprise. So it's interesting to see what they're doing. Is this going to be a higher end model targeting enterprise, or is it actually another stab at the consumer market? What are your thoughts, Pete?
Well, that's it, because it was last year that they confirmed they weren't making a Pico 4, they weren't making a follow-on, and they were going to focus on a competitor to Apple Vision Pro, which kind of makes sense. There's, like you say, they're going to make an enterprise focused model, but they've spent the last however many years up to the Pico 4 focusing on the consumer market. They launched Pico Labs as a direct competitor to App Lab, and they're still doing a lot of work in getting more content onto the Pico headsets. So I don't see them leaving the market, but it's certainly a bit of an anomaly at the moment.
This is my fault as well. It's more likely to be a slimmed down effort, as in keeping a foothold in the door ready for when the market truly takes off. Because as we all know, 20 million headsets having been sold or thereabouts, a decade ago in the gaming industry, that would have been considered a huge success. But these days, everything's compared to smartphones, so it's 100 million or bust, basically. So maybe Pico are going to wait until that time when we get to 50 million install base, 60 million install base, but keeping the name there, foot in the door, ready to come back and do another big rollout. Maybe.
Maybe, but they've also not cracked the North American market yet either, have they? The Pico 4 was Asia and Europe.
Yeah, they're not allowed.
Well,
But
they're not
that's another
allowed, yes,
conversation.
but maybe this new trademark is, you know, some way towards that. I don't know. You'd have to wait and see. But
Yes, wait and see. That's the answer to this one. Okay, with more hardware news, we have a Quest 3 battery strap. Now, for those who are uninitiated about the Quest 3 strap situation, or the Quest strap situation, it's typically not been good. People haven't liked what's been put out there as the quality strap, and this is something new.
well, at the end of last year, after everyone bought their nice new shiny Quest 3s, they also decided that they want longer gaming time. So everyone bought the Elite strap with battery, which has existed on the Quest 2 as well. Unfortunately, there was a bit of a firmware issue inside the battery, and a lot of them wouldn't charge. So it was essentially just a dead weight. You bought a nice new fancy, what was about $100 strap that didn't do anything. And so Meta initially went, yes, okay, there is an issue, but you have to actively contact us to get a replacement. Now it's flipped the other way. So now they're doing voluntary replacements. So if you have purchased an Elite strap, you may get an email from Meta saying, we're going to replace your strap for you, even if it does work. Now, we don't know whether there is a batch, a product serial numbers that they're working around, and they're going, right, well, it's this batch. We're going to contact everyone who's purchased them, and we're going to offer them. So you don't need to contact them anymore, but you need to wait for them to contact you.
Now, presumably, my thoughts on this are it sounds like an unusual spate of generosity from Meta, which is nice. But at the same time, that the fault was recognized early on and has since, obviously, if you buy an Elite strap, battery strap today, you don't have that issue.
No.
So presumably, everyone that has bought one at launch that had this issue will now have had that replacement already. There's going to be a handful of lingering units out there, maybe still in stores that haven't sold their day one shipment, but it can't be many.
I wouldn't have thought so, because it is a bit of a pricey accessory, and there are other third-party options on the market which people may prefer.
And it's 6 months old. So
Exactly.
well done, Meta, for fixing your issue. Maybe too little, too late.
Yeah. It shouldn't have gone out like this in the first place.
No. Replace it and give us $50 of store credit.
I'll take that, yeah.
Okay, so we've got more negative news. Now, this isn't just for VR. This is affecting the games industry as a whole. But we all know that I can never remember which way it is. Is it Warner Discovery, Discovery Warner? I can't remember.
Well, yeah, Warner Bros. Discovery. That's the full company title now.
Okay. Well, they've been doing some shifty business of late. Obviously, there was the Catwoman story. Catwoman? It was Catwoman, wasn't it? The film that was essentially finished and will never see release.
Yeah. And you had Acme. Was it Acme
Yes.
versus?
And now they are delisting significant amounts of Cartoon Network. I can't remember the name of the studio. Was it Cartoon Network Studio?
It's Adult Swim Games.
That's the one.
They're essentially closing down Adult Swim Games and delisting all the games it published.
And that includes a handful of VR titles.
Well, nothing's been confirmed just yet. Certainly not by the main developers. But yes, a lot of the flat screen developers have come out saying yes, they've been contacted. Games getting delisted, and one of the big ones for VR was Alchemy Labs' Rick and Morty Virtual Reality, which launched 2017, I believe. So it is a bit of an old game, and many people may not be playing it anymore. But it is still significant that these type of games are now getting delisted, or potentially getting delisted anyway, which is looking more than likely.
Yeah, it's strange that they would delist it. It's one thing shutting down the studio, but it's another thing that, or not. It's obviously not Alchemy Labs, Adult Swim Games, but it's another thing actually removing all the games from sale. So much for game preservation, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So basically, there is no yes or no yet, but it's highly probable. So if you are a Rick and Morty fan and you would like to try Rick and Morty Virtual Reality, gotta go get it soon, basically.
Well, that's it. It's also one of those games that never made it to Quest, so it's only on the Meta's PC VR store, or you've got to get it on Steam, or the original PSVR as well.
Which I was going to say, and the PSVR version had a retail release, at least in Europe. So there is a lingering chance you will find it in a bargain bin 5 years from now. But I wouldn't hedge your bets on that too long.
If you're a dedicated Rick and Morty fan, then it's worth a look. But the gameplay is looking at maybe a little long in the tooth now, because it was only a short experience to begin with, wasn't it?
Anyway, on to more positive news. We do have a new game series coming to VR. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Tropico is a city management building simulator that has originated on PC and did very well there, and then came to consoles and has done very well there. And now it's come into Meta Quest. Wonderful as the Tropico series is, the bigger point here is that Calypso Media are a reasonably sized, essentially a B-tier publisher of video games. They have a lot of titles that perform admirably across a lot of different formats, and now they're dipping their toes into VR.
Yeah. So it's going to be a VR port of Tropico 4 being done by a British team called Feral Interactive, and this is going to be their they're a team that do ports regularly anyway, but this is going to be their first VR game. So I think Tropico 4 was released in 2011, so it's a little bit of an older game, but the VR port's gonna come with everything, all the DLC. So you've got the 20 core missions, then you've got all like 20 other sort of missions, all the good stuff. So you got bags of content to play through. And yeah, there's gonna be a lot of fans out there who want to become El Presidente in VR once more.
So for anyone out there who knows my career or the trajectory that I followed, which hopefully is one or two people, I actually reviewed Tropico 4 back on I believe it was the Xbox 360 back in the day, and I really liked it. In my view, the reason why they've chosen Tropico 4 rather than 5 or 6 is because the assets would be much easier to port to the limited power of the Quest hardware. 5 and 6 are made for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and higher end PCs than Tropico 4 would have been made. So the adaptation process of those assets will be significantly easier. In fact, the VR version may well look just as good as what was the home console and PC edition of Tropico.
Yes, yeah, it looks all right from screenshots and short trailers released so far. So yeah, it's going to be a well worth addition to the city building genre on in VR. Join the likes of Little Cities and Islanders VR. So there's going to be a few for people to choose from.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Do we have a date, Pete?
Yes, coming out 28th of March,
Okay,
just for MetaQuest.
so soon after, only a week or so after you watch this, you'll be able to go buy it. So do so. I'm looking forward to it. Anyway,
Yep.
that's everything we've got for today. Thank you very much for watching. And once again, if you're at GDC, hit me up. Happy to meet for a coffee or a steak or whatever. Totally down for us to chat about some VR. So thanks very much for watching, everybody. See you next week.